Let's now take a look at the Wavetable engine. So I'm going to click here and switch over to Wavetable. So if you're new to wavetable synthesis, it's essentially a table as we see over here with different waveforms. And with this wavetable position dial, we have the ability to select any of the different waveforms in that particular table. Now morph is on, that's why we're smoothly transitioning in between those different waveforms. So from sine, gradually to a triangle, and then gradually to a sawtooth, and then finally a square. But if I turn off morph, we only hear the individual waveforms in the wavetable and none of those in between states. You can see the wavetable in this 3-dimensional view, but we can also switch to a 2-dimensional view. Again with the morph on, you can clearly visualize the difference there. There's an overall volume control here. Pretty straightforward. Let's talk about the different wavetables. So this particular wavetable had those basic waveforms, but I can click here and select from any of these different wavetables. That's in one folder. We have a bunch of different folders here. So let's just pick one of these. Just light. So when you click on it once, it loads the table. If you double click, it'll clear out that window and now you can work with the wavetable. I'll turn morph off and let's look at the 3D view. So this wavetable has a lot more waveforms. That's pretty interesting. So in this wavetable, even though a morph is off, it still kind of gradually morphs between the different waveforms. Sounds pretty much the same. Let's try another one. How about this ultra saw? Again, I'll turn off morph. Let's look at it in the 2D view. Alright, another exception here. I guess this only applies to some of those basic waveforms. So here you can see we're jumping between those different waveforms in the wavetable because morph is off. If I turn it back on, we get that smooth transition. Now you also have the ability to import your own wavetables or just import any kind of a audio waveform. So if I click over here on this waveform icon, I can just bring in any audio file. So let me see, we have some options over here. This is a tongue drum. It sounds like this. Let's open it up. Double click. And that's the wavetable. Not really getting the best result. Let's try a different waveform. I have some kick samples here. Let's see if that sounds better. There we go, that sounds a lot better. Let's try it with the morph off. So what's happening here is that Pigments is slicing up your imported audio into 2048 samples per single cycle waveform for a maximum of 256 position. So in this particular example, we only got 5 different positions. Alright, so that's the main wavetable section with the different wavetables and the individual waveforms within the wavetables. Now this tuning section is identical to the analog engine. You just don't get the drift parameter. We do get unison. Now this can be a lot of fun. Let me demonstrate this in that basic waveforms wavetable. I'll use a sawtooth here. Alright, so in this classic mode, I can choose the number of voices I want. Right now it's set to 1, but I can increase that. And you get that nice chorusing effect. You can choose the amount of detune amongst those 4 voices. The stereo spread, make it completely mono, or make it really wide. Alright, so that's classic mode. Let's skip chord for a second. Let's check out super. So super is essentially like your super saw. You don't get to choose the number of voices. It's prefixed, but you do get to choose the amount of EQ. Now we're not really hearing this because the mix is all the way down. Let's bring it up. So this is interesting. It creates like a blur effect. We kind of lose the transient of the sound. But if you like that, select the super mode. And then there's this chord mode. So we can select specific chords. Right now it's at an octave. I can change it to, let's say, a fifth. Not really a chord, but now we have an interval of a fifth between those four voices. If I go to minor here, now we hear a minor chord, minor seventh. Now if I play different notes, obviously that chord is going to get transposed. So major triad, dominant 7, major 7, major 9, 6, 9, sus2, and sus4. So pretty interesting to create harmonies like this, though I prefer just a regular classic mode and having the ability to just play in those notes instead. Alright, on the right here, it's pretty much identical to the other analog mode. You get your filter mix, overall volume control, but at the bottom here, the modulator has changed. Now this is pretty interesting. It's also quite deep, so let's check this out in a separate tutorial.